everyone. I wanted to make the meditation part of this video because my first video cut me off. And I also wanted to add something. So I was doing a lot more healing work with the mother-child bond last night and was really going through why it's so difficult if you have a wound from that, to let go of it. And I was getting a lot of it has to do with loyalty. So for instance, if a mother and child are separated, like through adoption or through other means, through the court system or whatever happens, they both have this wound, and in a lot of ways it's like they hold on to this wound because it's a sign of loyalty to each other and to their love for each other. It's kind of like, think of like the first time you were madly in love with someone, and it was mutual. You're both madly in love with each other, and then an outside force comes in and tears you two apart, and you might actually spend the rest of your life in physical pain because of it. And both of you would most likely spend the rest of your life with this wound because of it. And in a sense, it's a loyalty to really show the other person, how much you love them. And so you're both carrying this wound around in sort of solidarity. And I think that's part of what it is. And I also was feeling like, especially kids or babies who are separated from their moms, when they're too young to consciously remember her, all they have left of her is this wound, this trauma of being separated, this really painful wound. That's all they have left of her. And if they never even really knew her because maybe they were adopted, then that may be the only thing they have of her. Or if she died when they were really little, too little to really know her, all they might have left is this wound, this really painful wound. So if that's all you have left of your mom, and that's all you've ever known of her, because you never even got to know her name, you can imagine why it would be so difficult to heal it and let it go, because it's in a sense like letting go of your mom completely, and this is all you have of her, and so then everything's gone. Even if this is a really painful thing to hold on to, and even if this is a trauma, it's still like that's all you have left. So you can understand why that would be so difficult to heal it. And I think there's another factor to this conversation when it comes to the mother-child relationship that isn't being spoken about. And I think, we hear about moms when the first time they hold their babies and they look down at them and they look into their eyes and fall madly in love with them. But there's also the flip side to that, where the baby looks up at the mom and falls madly in love with her. And that's the part of the conversation. It's like we've completely left out that, like, the baby isn't a person with emotions and doesn't know what's going on. I mean, we hear about the mom falling in love with the baby, but nobody talks about how the baby, at that same moment, the baby's put into the arms of his mom, and he looks up at her and falls madly in love with her too. It's mutual. It's not just like a one-way street, and the way it's spoken about is very one-way, and I think it really undermines babies and children and their consciousness and their intelligence and their, the sort of greatness of their being, that they are these emotional creatures who are smart and know what's going on, and that they have feelings and they have thoughts and they have a personality. It kind of just wipes all that out, like they're just this object. And so the mom's falling in love with them, but they're not capable of falling in love with her or something. It like completely undermines babies, and I think and then children, as well. And I think the way we see them, then it reflects in our society with them not having any sort of rights in general. Because we really that's very much looking down on a baby or a child, that they're not at the same moment also looking up into the eyes of the mom and falling madly in love ever see a child who is breastfeeding, and you watch the child's making eye contact with the mom. So it's like, the baby is well aware of what's going on, and that this is their mom, and I mean it's very intimate. It's not just the mom looking at the baby and being in love with the baby. It's once again the baby is very much engaged with the mom and looking into her eyes. So that's something to also keep in mind. So let's do a meditation to help heal this mother-child relationship for ourselves and the planet, and hold space for anyone who wants this healing but maybe isn't here with us, watching this video with us, who wants to show up energetically. And so let's heal this regardless of, this healing meditation is regardless of if you have an extreme wound because of this, or maybe a slight wound, or maybe you don't even think you have any, but you just like to strengthen this relationship and empower it more, because this relationship really helps with receiving, especially being able to receive love and being able to receive abundance and happiness and success. So here we go. Okay, we call upon Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, and any other higher dimensional light beings who'd like to be here. We call upon the angelic realm. We also call upon the fairies, because they love this kind of stuff. And they have lots of feminine energy, so. And we ask that all of us are able to heal and release any wounds or trauma that has to do with the mother-child relationship. We ask that any patterns that have been established in our lives because of this wound, that they be healed and released, and that we no longer repeat them. We ask that any situations or any realities that we've maybe accidentally created through this wound or because of this wound, we ask that those be healed and released. We ask that any people who came into our lives that were reinforcing this belief system we have because of this wound, we ask that they be healed and released. We ask that any circumstances that have occurred because of it, because of this wound, be healed and released. We ask that anything that is blocking us from receiving love, abundance, nurture, happiness, success, or any other positive things that we desire, we ask that that be healed and released. We ask that our moms be healed and released from this wound as well. And we ask that they be healed and released if they carried this wound from their mothers or from their mothers' mothers. We ask that the generation of women on both sides of our family be healed and released from this wound. And we ask that every generation of children on both sides of the family be healed and released from this wound. We ask that in exchange for releasing this wound, that a lot of love comes into our life, and a lot of support, and a lot of abundance. And if this wound was all we had left of our moms, we ask that in exchange for it, we are able to really connect to the energy of the Divine Mother. And we ask that if she is still alive, if there's any way we can connect to her in the physical realm, we ask that all obstacles be removed so that we can actually have a relationship with her, and that in exchange for letting go of this wound, we'll get what we're looking for.